Well, Al Jazeera has obtained a leaked document which could have a serious impact on the upcoming Geneva peace talks on Syria. It's a letter from the Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallem to the Secretary General of the United Nations, accepting an invitation to attend those talks. Al-Muallem writes to Ban Ki-moon, "It should be noted that we do not agree with certain points mentioned in the letter of invitation, simply for the reason that they are in conflict with the legal and political position of the state of Syria." Muallem goes on to say it remains a priority for the Syrian people to continue to fight terrorism. And he continues, "We demand the countries supporting terrorism cease and refrain from funding, training, arming or harboring terrorist groups in harmony with international law and UN resolutions." I will speak to our correspondent Rosiland Jordan in Washington, D.C. in a moment. But first, let's go to our diplomatic editor, James Bays, who is at The Hague. James, how important is this letter?
I think the letter is very important because it's a reply to Ban Ki-moon. He sent out his official invitations to all of those supposed to attend the Syria peace talks, supposed to start in Switzerland next Wednesday. And this is the formal reply from the Syrian government, coming from no less a figure than the Syrian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallem. It's a reply that says, yes, we're coming. Yes, this is our delegation. And then there's a big but we have some problems with what you are proposing. And the Syrians, again, saying they want more of a focus on counter-terrorism, also saying that some of what was in Ban Ki-moon's letter they can't accept. Now, I haven't seen Ban Ki-moon's invitation. I've seen some of the other invitations he sent out to other parties. And in those, he pretty much made it clear what was the purpose of these Syria talks. Everything we already knew, that this was to build on what was known as Geneva 1, which was an agreement that came up in 2012, in the summer of 2012, that everyone signed up to. Let me remind you what that said. That said there should be a transitional body with full executive power that should run Syria. There should be negotiations between the Syrian regime and the Syrian opposition. By mutual consent, they should come up with this transitional body. It seems now that the Syrian government have problems with that. The whole basis for these negotiations due to start just in days.
Yeah, the opposition still not decided or haven't announced their decision as to whether they're attending those talks. Does it look like they're going to go ahead?
Well, the opposition will decide, we believe, on Friday. Possibly that will go on until Saturday. It's possible there'll be some in the opposition, I'm sure there'll be some in the opposition, who say, well, this shows that the Syrian government is not going to negotiate on the basis of Geneva 1, is not going to negotiate fairly and discuss this idea of a transitional body. There will be others, though, with a different view, and I know that this is shared certainly by some Western diplomats that I've heard from. They'll say to the opposition, you should go to these talks in Switzerland because it will expose the Syrian government. It will show that the Syrian government, as you get closer to the actual negotiations, has real doubts about this whole idea of having a transitional body. And if the Syrian opposition were to go, it would actually strengthen their position. I'm sure there's deep debate right now among the ranks of the Syrian opposition, which we know is divided on many issues.
James, thanks very much. Let's speak now to Rosiland Jordan, who is in Washington, D.C. for us. And Ros, the U.S. has worked very hard to try and get those Geneva 2 talks going. Have they reacted yet to this letter from the Syrian government?
Shax, there hasn't been any official reaction yet to Syria's decision to attend Geneva 2, but the contents of those letters, if you look back at previous administration statements, the U.S. would not look favorably on those comments when it comes to the question of aid, which is implied in Muallem's last sentence in his note to Ban Ki-moon. The U.S. has always said that it is going to provide support of all types, lethal and non-lethal, as well as humanitarian aid to those in the Syrian opposition, which the U.S. feels is trustworthy. The letter also made note of the fact that the terms of Geneva 1 were some of the issues that the Syrian government takes issue with. Well, the administration of President Barack Obama has not backed away from its belief that any future Syrian government cannot have Bashar al-Assad, the current president, or any of his top allies in that government. So already it's likely that you can anticipate some objections from U.S. officials. But of course, as of this hour, there has not been official comment. We are efforting it.